Hi guys, welcome to my fourth and final critical reflection video. Within this video, I'm going to be answering the questions: how did you integrate technologies such as software, hardware, and online in this project? Starting off with software, I mainly used Adobe InDesign, Adobe Photoshop, Google Sites, and Google Docs. I used Adobe InDesign to set up my entire magazine production. I used this when I was inserting pictures, just really to lay out everything within my magazine. For Adobe Photoshop, I used this application to edit all my pictures, whether it was using the retouch tool or the cutout tool or just anything to really clean up the images. I also really liked using the spot healing tool. It was very helpful because you were able to drag a certain part of the picture to cover up another part of the picture. I really like that feature. But I use this to edit all my pictures, whether it was to size them or cut out them or make them brighter. I used Adobe Photoshop for this. For Google Sites, I use this for all my blogs. I originally tried to use edu blogs or edu blogs, but it was very confusing and it just wasn't as easy as Google Sites was, so I fell back onto Google Sites, but that was much earlier in my blogging process. And something I also liked about Google Sites is that it was, since it's a Chrome website, it saved automatically and you didn't have to worry about losing any of your work because it backed up immediately after like a few seconds. As for Google Docs, didn't use this one as much because, like I said, Google Sites backed up all your information, so you wouldn't have to type it in a Google Doc to save it. You could type it straight into the website. But I did use Google Docs to type out all of my scripts for my critical reflection videos. As for hardware, I used my MacBook computer and my iPhone 16. I used my MacBook to launch all the applications I used for every design element, such as Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign, as well as Chrome and Pinterest and YouTube, which I will get into on the next slide. But I used my computer to set up basically every single portion of my magazine, except for taking the actual photos, which I did on my phone. I have a pretty new phone, so the pictures that I take on there are pretty clear and very well lit. I also used the overhead lighting that is underneath my cabinets in my kitchen. This was very helpful because it gave that nice overhead lighting without having to buy any extra lighting, so I really enjoyed that. And finally, for online, like I mentioned before, I use Google Chrome, YouTube, and Pinterest. I use Google Chrome to run basically everything. I did all my research on Google Chrome. I also used some of their other applications, like I mentioned, Google Docs and Google Sites. I used YouTube to upload these videos. I also used YouTube to reference different videos that helped me learn InDesign when I was first starting the actual production of my magazine. And I also used Pinterest for some inspiration. I mainly found some recipes I liked on there and just magazines that I thought were interesting, or pictures or different angles, photo shoots pertaining to magazines. And that's kind of all I used for online. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed following me along my magazine creation journey, and I had so much fun with you all along the way. Thank you.